Welcome to my first episode of Unsolicited Advice. I hope you appreciate this video because I had to look at Tomi Lahren for hours when doing my prep work. Actually, that really wasn't that painful at all. So, for me, it is important not to do these videos as a character assassination, but as fair and compassionate as possible. Life is hard, no matter who you are. Even celebrities have problems. So it might surprise you when sometimes I steel-man some of her arguments, but I'm doing this to give her the benefit of the doubt, because there's always an intellectual value in being able to look at both sides. That said, Tomi Lahren is a famous conservative commentator, and she has a talent for making viral videos as part of a series called Final Thoughts. She's also currently the host of the talk show Fox Nation. Now, recently, one of her Final Thoughts videos caught my attention, and I thought it would be a lot of fun and interest to go through it and share my thoughts.
This is a PSA for all the men out there, and all the boys who think they're men, but they're actually boys. This is going to be the summer of canceling boys.
Okay, my first impressions of Tomi is that she's very smart, very motivated, and very talented at showmanship. I know a lot of people watched that clip and felt revulsion at what she said and how she said it. Maybe they even felt anger. But I also know a lot of people watched that clip and felt excitement, maybe even relief to hear her say those things like, finally, someone feels what I'm feeling. But what almost no one felt watching that was apathy. So my first impression is that she's a master of performance. She knows that the way to grab the audience's attention is through passion. Because like or loathe what she says, by evoking such a strong emotion in her audience, with an obviously loaded statement, she has your full attention, whether or not you agree with her or disagree with her vehemently. And that's it, she's got you sucked in. And in a tragic way, her talent for showmanship might be the root of her problems. However, I will come back to that later, but for now keep in mind that sometimes you are let down not by your weaknesses, but by your strengths. And I think Tomi here is an example of being defeated by one's own success. Anyway, let's just watch that clip again.
This is a PSA for all the men out there, and all the boys who think they're men, but they're actually boys.
Now, funnily enough, I completely agree with her on this first point. We are living in an age of perpetual childhood. We have millions of boys and girls walking about with adult bodies, making adult decisions, but in reality are emotionally children. They have not learned to take full responsibility for themselves and their problems, preferring to either blame other people for them or demand that other people fix their problems for them just like children do. My only criticism would be that there's so many women out there who think they're women, but they're really just girls. That deserves a mention.
Now, from my own personal experiences and the experiences of all of my friends, which range in age from 24 to 36, we've all got issues. All of my friends are attractive. All of my friends are successful. All of my friends have something going on.
Okay, this is important. Tomi here is making a confusing case. She starts out by claiming that her friends are a diverse group, but ends by emphasizing that they are not diverse at all. Tomi's friends are not representative of the general population. Tomi and her friends are exceptional women, not common women. Yet she is trying to claim they are somehow representative of the average woman because she wants to claim that she's speaking for all women, when in actual fact the qualities listed for herself and her friends are not common at all. Not even for men to have. So they're not common for women or men. Now, this might just be her talent for showmanship coming through. She might be using this rhetorical device to convince her audience that she has more authority to speak for other people than what she actually does, which is exactly what feminists do. Feminists claim to speak for all women, even the women who disagree with feminism. They do this simply to manipulate and intimidate their audience. They know that most people are instinctively afraid of conflict and take refuge in conformity to avoid conflict. When people are told that most women believe something, the audience is inclined to take it more seriously out of fear that they might be out of touch with the rest of the herd. This is an intimidation tactic because, come on, you're not going to disagree with all women, are you? That's a pretty damn misogynistic thing to do. But it's a really bad argument because her friends are not a random sample of the population. They are in fact a carefully select group of people. Tomi has chosen these people to be her friends. Therefore, it's most probable that she has selected for herself an echo chamber of women who think and operate the same way that she does. Thus, it is entirely possible she sincerely believes she is speaking for more women than she actually is. But if this is the case, then she's out of touch with her audience, and this is going to affect her ability to build a strong case going forward.
Almost every single one of them have an issue with men. And you have to start looking at that and thinking, if an age range of that many people, including myself, having issues, then I have to think, it might not be us. It might be you. It might be men. It might be men.
Okay, these are the first two problems I'm seeing. The first being, no, it's not a good conclusion to draw that your tiny select group has it right, while everyone else in the vast random group in the real world has it wrong. While it's possible that Tomi and her friends are not at fault, the fact that her friends are such a select group, we can infer they are a select group because she has very high standards for whom she would consider to be her friends. If just one of her friends has it wrong, then logically her and all her friends are very likely to be wrong too, because they're so similar. This is the problem with living in an echo chamber. Echo chambers are a problem for everyone, regardless of where you stand politically, because we're so selective about the people we consider to be our friends, we are at risk constantly of putting ourselves unwittingly into an echo chamber. Now, to be fair, she does say it might not be us. She might not be committed to the view that she's right and everyone else is wrong. She might still be open to hearing some alternative explanations for why she's struggling to find a man who is right for her. However, she does emphasize repeatedly that it might be you. It might be men. Again, if she said that to me in person, I would probably laugh at how she said it and take it as her way of expressing herself in an interesting fashion. But that was until she followed it up with this.
Now, I've often talked about the pussification of America and how men are no longer men. It is not just the guys in Los Angeles, Nashville, Dallas, and they're not any better in the Midwest. Quite frankly, I think they're trash all over this country in the age range of about 20 to I think about 55, maybe even 60. A lot of men are trash. A lot of men don't know how to treat women. A lot of men don't know how to really, quite frankly, pull their heads out of the sand and pay attention. So I am going to help you.
Okay. Compassion, fairness. I can do this. Steel man. Okay. The term pussification of men is hilarious because it not only puts men down, it puts down women. It is the equivalent of telling women they are only equal to men if they work like men and treat sex like men generally do. It's insulting to both men and women to do this. Putting aside that she's complaining that men aren't manly anymore, as though she has some right to tell them what manliness is, this statement bothers me because men have been constantly told all their lives that they're toxic, they're violent, they're guilty of misogyny before they're born. They have to bend over backwards to appease women as atonement for the alleged sins of their fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers, that they need to be more feminine and submissive to be accepted. They've often witnessed their mothers ripping apart their fathers from their families, and from that learning how dangerous it is to displease women. They were raised by mostly women in infancy and in school, and they have suffered systemic prejudice in government funding, in policies, and in the courts. All of this isn't news to someone like Tomi Lahren. She knows these facts, but I'm not detecting any compassion from her. I'm hearing my number one dating red flag, entitlement. She doesn't care about how abused, traumatized, and maligned men are. She feels entitled to get what she wants from them regardless of what state they are currently in psychologically. Just to rehash quickly the problem with entitled people, though you should really see my video on the ultimate dating red flag. But the problem with entitled people is that fundamentally they're miserable. The entitled person lashes out at other people because they're miserable, and they feel indignant that they should be so unhappy when other people they consider to be inferior to them, lesser than them, should be happy. I guarantee you, it grinds on her nerves that less successful women than her are happier and more successful in love than what she is. It just doesn't seem fair because she's so much better than them. She's got these high standards. Anyway, look at this photo. This is a typical example of a fake smile. This is the kind of smile a miserable person puts on their face because they're scared of rejection if they show people how they actually felt deep down. Which is a problem of anyone who's in show business, in that you've got to put on this kind of fake smile to be successful in show business, and so you can get into the habit of learning to not express your feelings legitimately or authentically. And no, don't get me wrong, I'm not rejoicing in the fact that she's not a happy woman. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that someone this young, this brilliant and talented can't find true love. And I hope she grows past her entitlement, but until she does, she can't be happy because nothing and no man will ever be good enough for her. She is a victim of her own unrealistically high standards. Okay, now we have the beginning of a 5.6 point... Okay, well, I think it's meant to be 5 point, but she kind of... Never mind. Watch the full video. I'll have a link below, and you'll see that she's kind of got 6 points on her 5-point list. Or maybe you have to watch it like 6 times like I did to notice that. Anyway, this is the list of demands that Tomi has for men. Now, Tomi doesn't appear to understand that her having standards doesn't entitle her to boss men around and tell them what to do. She chose to have these standards. That's her choice. Men didn't tell her she had to put makeup on. Men didn't tell her she needed to spend a fortune on her hair, fashion, and appearance. She set her own standards, and she set them very high. You can tell from looking at her that she puts a lot of effort into how she looks. So much, I'm sure it's a pain for her to do this all the time. But she needs to own it. She's doing this to herself, for herself. Men aren't making her do these things, and she's certainly not doing this for men. She's doing this so that she can feel justified in being controlling. When she says that she's going to help you, this is a rhetorical trick used by manipulators, abusers, where they pretend they are being kind when they are being cruel. They aren't condemning you. They aren't blaming you. They aren't verbally abusing you. No. They're just trying to help you. And your resistance to her telling you what to do isn't you being manly and self-assertive. No. In this context, she wants you to submit to her will. She wants you to be her pussy boy. And here, Tomi is demonstrating that she is her own worst enemy. She is against the pussification of men, but she is a contributor to the mentality that is pussifying men. If you want men to be strong, then respect their boundaries and stop berating them until they are a traumatized mess. Otherwise, when men finally crack it with women abusing them and mistreating them and taking them for granted like this, the result is not going to be manly or wimpy. It's going to be very destructive and very ugly. And, completely avoidable if you didn't, abuse them. It's kind of simple. If you just keep verbally abusing and mistreating men, don't be surprised if they decide to check out of society and turn their backs on you. I mean, women would do the same thing. If men did that to women, women would check out of society. You just got to try and... It's really important to try and see things from the other person's perspective. And yeah, my feedback would be watch my video on the ultimate dating red flag, because entitlement does seem to be a big problem that she's dealing with here. Maybe the one also about controlling emotions. I'll put that one up there. In these videos, I go into detail about how unhealthy thought processes that are leading people like Tomi to believe that only men can make her happy, when in fact only Tomi can make herself happy by taking genuine ownership of herself and her problems. So at this point in the video, she starts sharing her advice to men, so I'm just going to give feedback on each of the points.
If you like a girl, if you're even somewhat interested in a girl, you need to ask yourself this question. Are you single?
Okay, now the men that Tomi's referring to are obviously not your typical Joes, who are actually always single, because a small percentage of men sort of have 15 girlfriends at once. I need to do a video about that. The vast majority of men can't be players as much as they wish they could be. Surveys of women show over and over again that they believe the vast majority of men are below average in looks. Only a small percentage of men are blessed with the chick magnet genes, whatever they are, and are capable of being the players Tomi is describing here. And indeed, you'd have to be pretty good looking to be on Tomi's dating radar. Now, not all attractive men are players, but the men who are players treat women like trash because women allow themselves to be treated like trash. Honestly, I think Tomi's right to drop them as coldly as she says she does. Good on her. Good on her. It sends a message to the guys: you can't get away with being a player, and that is a great thing to do. So I totally support her in doing that. She's absolutely right there. So these men are, in a sense, victims of their own good fortune. They don't need to work for sex because sex comes knocking at the door. So they've got no incentive to work on their character and to be a better person. And you don't want a man like that who's content to be like that. He's content to be a player and not actually develop himself, because he's not husband material and he's not father material. However, Tomi has standards and won't settle for anything less than a pretty man. So she's now demanding that players stop being players. And this is more moving into controlling territory. It's like, I have a list of what I want, and if you don't meet it, I won't compromise on my beauty standards in a man. And she'll probably have a go at men for their beauty standards in women. Anyway, instead she's going to demand that man who doesn't want to change must change to suit her standards. And I suspect if he does this for her, she'll complain that he's a pussy for submitting to her. It's a no-win situation. Now, I actually feel for her, because she isn't just a very attractive woman. She's a very smart woman too. She won't be satisfied with a man less intelligent and less accomplished than her. But at the same time, he needs to be at least as attractive as her. That makes her dating pool very, very small. Very small. Now, if she was average intelligence, then she would easily find an attractive man to match her mind. But it's going to be hard for her to find both in one man, especially because a man with both those traits is going to have a huge dating pool. Just lots of women queuing up there, and I'll explain why in a moment. And she's not a happy person, so there's this huge dating pool of women after this really smart, accomplished, attractive guy. And why would he go for a miserable woman when he can get a happy woman? I mean, that means a lot more to a man than how successful or accomplished she is. And I do wonder, like, I would suggest to her that she really should ask this question, like, what does a man want from a woman? Because I don't think she's ever asked that. I don't think she's actually asked, what are men looking to get out of a relationship with her?
The second thing that I think is very important, that men don't seem to understand. There are very few women out there, and I'm speaking from personal experience as well as from all of my friends and all the women, quite frankly, that I talk to. There is not a woman out there that wants to be your pen pal.
When I first heard this, I thought I understood what she meant. However, I've chatted with a female friend about this, and she told me I've gotten this completely wrong. So I'm going to respond to both interpretations here. My first interpretation is that Tommy's missing out on something really special, like companionship, and these men may have been wanting to reach out to her through text, and because it's easier to be more open and honest about your feelings through text and face to face. And I can imagine with someone as direct and aggressive as Tomi, it might be very hard to do that at first, to be open about your feelings with her, especially two strikes and you're out, not even two strikes. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe these men are just like, well, they're interested and they don't know how to approach her, or they're not feeling quite sure, because it can be quite intimidating with such an attractive and successful, accomplished woman. But I have been told that maybe that's not what she meant, and that I misunderstood her, and that she was referring to men who neg and flake out on women, choosing to never be significantly invested in the relationship. And they want the woman to get more invested than they are, so that they've got the power in the relationship, so they can kind of boss her around. Again, I mean, if that's the case, yeah, those guys are rubbish, then good on her for getting rid of them. But I couldn't really tell which one was correct, so I've just given you both ideas.
And if you do have a woman out there that just wants to be your pen pal, it's probably because she has a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or whatever.
Okay, I don't know if this is relevant, but just whenever I see this thought process of assuming the worst in another person, a little alarm bell goes off in my head. Generally speaking, people project themselves onto other people. They don't actually empathize with how other people see the world. Since she didn't give an explanation for why she thought these women would be doing this, like cheating on their husbands, my first thought was she's projecting. She would do that if she wanted to lure a man that she wanted away from his wife. That was just a thought. Now, there's no evidence for that. Don't assume that's what I'm saying, but it's just like, it's odd that she jumped to the worst possible conclusion.
This is going to be backwards for you guys. Make plans. Make a plan. Do not assume that you can text somebody randomly in the middle of the day, what are you doing? Or text them at midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or even just within hours of when you actually want to see them and think that they're going to be available.
Actually, here I completely agree with everything she just said. This drives me nuts too. I'm from the other side where I attempt to make plans, but she constantly shoots them down and then wonders why I ghost her. It's because I gave her a plan, she rejected it without offering her own counter plan, so I concluded she just wasn't interested in me. And when she texts me back to ask why I haven't made plans with her, I'm surprised she still even had my number. It really wasn't clear. Wasn't very good communication. And again, I kind of suspect that when people do that, they're kind of afraid of rejection, so they don't want to let you know that they are interested in you. And so I can understand where they might be coming from, and if they actually do seriously want to meet up, then I will do that. But if they don't, yeah, go. I wouldn't. If you can't sort your life out as an adult, then you're just not like spouse material, certainly not parent material. So I have a lot of sympathy for her there.
And I'm not a feminist, so please don't take this as a feminist rant. I love men. I think men are great. I think men have failed themselves and they've failed us. And I'm just trying to help you out because I think there are a lot of really great guys out there who need a little help. And I don't think that there are a lot of women that are stepping up and saying these things.
Okay, I don't know what her definition of a feminist is. Oh, she said it, did she?
Quite frankly, I don't think that there are a lot of women that aren't raging feminists that don't look like Lena Dunham. They're saying these things to you.
Oh, so a feminist is an ugly woman. You think it's fair enough that men don't listen to ugly entitled women telling them what to do. But it's not feminism if it's an attractive entitled woman telling men what to do. This really doesn't come across very well to anyone. I don't know if that was an intentionally loaded statement. She was having a stab at Lena Dunham. Don't know, but her definition of feminism doesn't sit very well. So I'll address the three claims that she made there. She's not a feminist. She loves men. There aren't a lot of women saying these things who aren't ugly looking. Well, first of all, what quality is it that defines feminism? Feminism is a whole list of contradictory demands, from sex positivity and promiscuity to, he asked me out. Oh, he said hi to me. Oh, he made eye rape. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, they're extremes. To other things like, don't give women special treatment on dates, to, no, you must give women special treatment on dates. Like, don't give women special treatment in the workplace. No, please give them special treatment. Mentor them. All these contradictory demands coming from feminism. And it's like, well, it's not the demands that feminists make that you can define what feminism is. I understand feminism it's more about the expression of female entitlement. It's kind of like a political and cultural movement that advocates for the entitlement of privileges for all women at the expense of men in all areas of life. That's how I would actually probably define a feminist. And so, in that sense, like, Tomi has a list here of things that she feels entitled to from men, and that makes her a feminist in my opinion. I don't care if she considers herself a conservative. There are plenty of right-wing feminists, and most of them claim they aren't feminists, but they're still feminists. Like, because if a woman is claiming that her self-imposed high standards entitle her to tell men what to do, it doesn't matter what those standards are. She's still a feminist. You can't just boss people around because you're mean to yourself as well. Gotta own it. Regarding the second point, the fact that she feels entitled to declare that all men are trash according to her and will only become decent men once they submit to her demands, tell you that she does not love men. Like, she doesn't love men. Like, it's like saying that you love fat women, but only if they lose some weight. It's completely disingenuous. Tomi, like many women, is completely oblivious to all the things men do for her and women around the world. Men build almost everything for women. They built your house, they built your car, they invented all the machines inside your house, they even invented the machines needed to make your clothes. They invented the internet and the computer you're using to complain about men on. This generalization of men are bad, it's gotta stop. Like, a tiny proportion of men are really bad. majority of men, if they're not awesome, they're at least useful. That sounds awful, but it's true. Like men do so much work and labor and construction. They build the whole world that women live in and keep women safe. I mean, it's only a tiny proportion of men who don't contribute and don't look after and support and protect women. It's really, I get on my nerves. It's just so unfair to just lump all men into that group. It's that lack of gratitude. So love is not a list of entitlements and showing the other no respect. Love is gratitude. Gratitude for all the things that men have done. The men she just called trash built her home. They fed her, they keep her warm, and helped her become successful by promoting her videos. So when she says she loves men, it's just an empty, meaningless statement. It's an outright lie. Though there's so many women telling men what to do, it's crazy. Men hear this from their mothers, from their teachers. Every single TV show and movie produced today is full of this message of female entitlement and men in the music and religion's full of it. Like, you've just got to serve women. It's non-stop throughout a whole man's life. I never get any relief from it. I tell me all the time they never get relief from it. The internet's loaded with this stuff. Men cannot escape getting bombarded constantly with entitled women telling them what they ought to be. Now, if a man dares to tell an entitled woman what she should be, she can't handle it. It's a hate crime. Men don't need another woman telling them what they ought to be. Men need to be reminded by other men that they don't owe women anything. Women are not entitled to anything men produce, just as men are not entitled to sexual access to women's bodies. Nature has made it so that men dominate the means of production, while women dominate the means of reproduction. Men have to accept that women get to decide who gets to reproduce, while women, feminists in particular, need to accept that men don't owe them any money, any security, or any love at all. Once you come to accept this, and I know it can be hard to accept because this can be it can be very scary at first, because it means you have to be self-responsible. When you actually experience love through gratitude from the innumerable acts of kindness, I mean, it won't be so scary anymore, and you'll think this is wonderful and great, but you've got to let go of this childish entitlement and pass through that valley of fear to get to the other side, the hill of gratitude.
Next thing, value. Okay? Value. Take that in. Just repeat it to yourself until it makes sense. But if you want to mix in people like me and people like my friends who are go-getters, who work really hard, who make their own money, who are talented, skilled, ambitious, please don't mix us in with the Tatianas.
Value. Okay, so I had to repeat this a few times to myself before I understood what she meant. I should value what Tomi Lahren values, not what I value. So her values are more important than my own. I mean, she is the boss. Men don't value the same things that women do in a relationship. If men valued the same things that women valued, then human beings wouldn't be sexually dimorphic. The fact that women and men look and act very differently from each other proves that men and women value different things in the other. Tomi Lahren's expectation here that men should value the same things women do is a really strange thing to say. So, a lot of people understand that women are hypergamous, meaning that they are attracted to mates that are bigger, taller, stronger, wealthier, and smarter than they are. And that's why on average, men are bigger, taller, stronger, wealthier, and smarter than women. Because that's the way women like their men. However, a lot of people don't understand that men are hypogamous, meaning that men are attracted to women who are smaller, shorter, poorer, weaker, and dumber than they are. There's nothing more attractive than a weak, needy woman to a man. Women know this because they know how to play the damsel in distress, and they know asking a man for his help is the way to his heart and a commitment from him. Even with things like physical attraction, sure, men would prefer to sleep with a supermodel, but men will sleep with almost anything that's on offer. In fact, if a woman is too attractive, most men report feeling repelled by her. Most men would prefer to date a woman who is a 7 or an 8 for attractiveness. They're actually turned off by the super attractive women. They might feel like, oh, that she's too good for them, and she'll go off with somebody else, and they feel that kind of insecure that they don't want to be committed to that super attractive woman. And that's all part of hypogamy. A woman wouldn't feel that way. She'd be going for the 10 out of 10 guy, and that would feel really satisfying for her. But men don't think like that. And so just as men have to learn to deal with hypergamy in women, and men have to accept hypergamy in women, they have to work with it. Women need to learn to deal with hypogamy in men and accept it. Now, I get it. Women might be a bit embarrassed to admit this, but regardless of how you feel, it doesn't make it any less true. Women are hard to please. Men are easy to please. Women have high standards for comfort and success. Men have low standards for comfort and success. Most men find highly intelligent, independent, career-orientated women, go-getters, very off-putting. They're just not attractive because those women are acting like men, not like the women that men are naturally attracted to. No sex is better than the other, and each sex has unique virtues that the other sex can learn from. I'm actually a proponent of the Greek ideal in this regard. I think men gain a lot from learning from women's hypergamy, but I also think women can gain a lot from learning from men's hypogamy and like being happy and satisfied with life, which is a really hard thing for women because they're really obsessed with their standards. I can see it being quite painful for them. I can see it's really painful for Tomi here. Now, women, sure, you can teach men to be successful with your hypergamy, but men can teach you humility, satisfaction, and peace of mind with their hypogamy. Don't assume that you have all the answers. Accept that men may just have something of value to teach you. Also, those Thodianas might be a lot smarter than Tomi realizes, because they might just be playing dumb and silly because they know that's what men like. They know men like to rescue and spoil grateful women. Those Thodianas might have more empathy and understanding of men than she does. And instead of judging these women, maybe Tomi could, learn something from them. Something that might actually make her a lot happier.
There's a lot of women out there that I know that are my good friends who have amazing jobs, who work really hard, but who can't seem to find a decent guy, even if they go up in age 5 to 10 to 15 years, because those guys all want to be with 21-year-olds who have nothing going on.
Yes, I know some women and some men are exceptions. It's really important to understand that if you're a highly successful self-made woman, then you are exceptional, not average. You are a freak, not the norm. A magnificent, beautiful, brilliant, talented freak, but not the qualities that enabled our race to survive. So get off your elitist high horse. Okay, that was a bit harsh. I think you should get off your elitist high horse and consider that other women might have a lot that they can teach you, even if you think you're better than them. And it was actually pretty harsh to call them Thodianas. Because if they end up having children and you die childless, they were victorious over you. And the only place your genetics were going, go-getter, was a dead end.
The next thing on my list is this: consistency. It really does not help me or my friends or any woman in general if you are really cool and you're really interested when you first start talking to them, and then give it 3, 4, 5 days, and all of a sudden you're not consistent anymore. You don't make plans. You don't really care. You kind of fade in and out. You're talking to 5 other Thotianas. Consistency is important.
Yeah, as a man on the other side of this, I can tell you exactly why I fade out girls like that all the time. Those women are boring, or they're high maintenance. If they're interesting, then I'm definitely consistent. Have you considered that even though you might really enjoy your own company, men not actually enjoy your company? Oh my god, I'm feeling so snarky. I think it was the Thotiana comment. It's just, I keep thinking, you just got a whole women Thotianas just because you don't like them. Oh my god. You're not actually giving them the attention. You're not actually giving men the attention and stimulation that they're looking for, and that's why they're not consistent. I don't generally give those boring girls a second chance either, and I think it's more likely those guys are players if they're coming back to you after going through 5 or 6 other women, it's really important to realize that if you're after a high-quality man, there are thousands of other women there competing with you for the same man. Because of hypogamy, he's got lower standards. So he's open to a lot more women than you are. And it's not a good place for highly successful women. As I said, you are definitely, the odds are against you when you're at that end of the bell curve as a woman. But at the end of the day, women, you need to put some cheese in your man trap if you're going to catch a man.
But if you're not consistent and you fall off the radar, I give you maybe 1 to 2 chances to fix that because I'm a very direct communicator. Women, this is important. I will communicate to you. If your communication isn't great, I will let you know that. I will let you know that more effort is needed. But if you don't heed that warning and I have to warn you twice, I'm done at that point because I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, I can see this. Yeah. Yeah, I see this as a confession of your entitlement towards men. Can you imagine a man saying to women what you just said? I give you maybe 1, 2 chances to fix that because I'm a very direct communicator. Got that? You fall in line and do as I say. Okay, I added that little embellishment at the end to help you understand how way out of line Tomi was there. No woman should have to put up with such abuse from an entitled man, and no man deserves such abuse from an entitled woman. Also, men hear that you're so short on patience when you say those things. Like, I'm addressing Tomi. They hear that she's so short on patience, and when they hear the word like chances, a lot of men start thinking about splitting or sour grapes. And by that I mean women who say they love a man 1 minute, and then the next minute they say they hate him. They're just no good. This trait is called splitting. Sorry, this is called splitting. It's not healthy. It's not cool. Pogoing from love to hate very rapidly is not an attractive trait. And I've had personal experience with it. Oh yes, I love you. You mean so much to me. You've helped me so much in life too. Oh, you've always been against me. You've always been working against me. Oh my God, it messes with your head. And like it's a lot of men can tell you about this. It is not cool to have the sour grapes thing going on, the splitting thing going on. It's sorry for anyone who's ever found themselves in that situation, if she's ever found that. And this is the thing I find a little hard to understand. Like, if a girl says she's not interested in me, I don't go full sour grapes on her. I'm really sad. I may be even hurt. But I generally still think she's awesome. Because if she wasn't awesome to begin with, I wouldn't have considered her dating her in the first place. So if you're prone to this kind of sour grapes, I really think you need to start asking how compassionate and understanding you actually are of other people. Because it doesn't sound very compassionate or understanding here.
My last thing on my list is also very important. Don't be, excuse my language, don't be a bitch. Don't be a bitch.
Okay. Why is it okay for you to have sour grapes, but not okay for men to have sour grapes? Just consider that one.
And by the way, if I'm no longer interested because your effort is shitty, that's not me being a bitch. That's not me being difficult. That's me having a standard in which I expect from people. Do you want to know why? We've worked for those. Okay? We work hard. We're successful. We take care of ourselves. We try to look cute.
No. Your standards are your own. They don't give you the right to bash other people over the head with them. It's exactly the same as if a man was saying that he expects women to lose weight because he won't date fat women. Because he has standards. You know full well his standards don't give him the right to tell women what to do or bully them or pass, anti-fatty laws or something like that. You know full well that's not okay. That's a major boundary violation. So please, you can do better than this. Tomi, you can do better than this. Way better than this. Look in the mirror. See how you come across to men every time you tell them about your standards. It's actually not pretty.
I tell you this. It will be a cold day in hell when I chase a man. And I know that's the same thing for my friends as well. And if my friends are listening and they're thinking about chasing a man, please, for the love of God, do not. Because there is not one single man on planet Earth, okay, that is worth making any woman feel like she is not good enough.
Okay, this bothers me because women a lot of women actually do ask men out and they end up living happily ever after. I mean, I don't know if it's definitely not a majority, but it happens. It happens pretty often. I know many cases where this has happened. And I think, like, if Tomi cared about other women, she wouldn't be demanding that other women do something that might actually make them miserable and lonely like she is. And I start going, like, Tomi, like, do you care about other women? Because it sounds to me like she doesn't care about other women. She only cares about herself, and she's indignant if other women that she considers to be Thoriana should be more successful than she is. And this pure spite to sabotage other women, it comes from her being miserable. Like, if she's unhappy, other women can't be happy. So, this is my final thoughts. If you're unhappy, that's your problem. It's not other people's problem to fix for you. Tomi Lahren is an overachiever, and that's not what most men want, because men are hypogamous. If she wants to have a relationship with a man, she needs to first understand men, and the path to understanding men is appreciating men, not taking them for granted as her entitlement. In this sense, Tomi Lahren is a victim of her own success and good fortune, because it's enabled her to have unrealistically high standards of herself and life and relationships. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a change for me. Until next time, per spera ad astra.